Good morning and welcome to today's Smart Business Strategies podcast. I am Anna Wiles, the franchise economist, and I am delighted to have you here. I want you to join me in welcoming my special guest, Dylan Zawinski with Zoom Drain. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Anna, thank you so much. So happy to be talking to you today. Apologize for everyone with the background. I'm in a hotel room. I promise I'm not in my bedroom, but just excited to be chatting with you today.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here. And we appreciate you making the effort to be on our show, especially while you're traveling. Well, Dylan, start us off and tell us a little bit about you and Zoom Drain.
Absolutely. So I'm the development director on Zoom Drain. Long story short of what I do is that anybody that wants to own a Zoom Drain franchise, they got to talk to me one way or another. So just very excited to be representing a brand that was founded in 1995 by Jim Crinity. So as of this year, been in operation for 30 years, which I think is far and few in between now. But essentially what Zoom Drain does, right? Think everything south of the sink. So when you flush a toilet, when you use a shower, when you use the laundry room, everything that flows out and away, we handle the cleaning and clearing process for that, right? So definitely a niche down company and just very excited to be representing them.
Well, we're going to dig into that a little bit. So help the audience understand what makes Zoom Drain unique or different from other plumbing franchises.
It's one of my favorite questions about the brand because, when people imagine us, they imagine, a plumbing essentially. And we do plumbing services, but plumbers are actually some of our best customers. Like
Wow.
I know you've used the phrase, right? The riches are in the niches at the end of the day, right? And that's what
Right.
we focus on is, again, that everything flowing out, everything that flows out to municipal on that main line. And so we really focus on one small segment of a really massive industry, which is still a huge pie for us to focus on. But being the name in cleaning and clearing is really what we're looking to be, right? So that way we can stay laser focused on the B2B and the B2C side of what keeps all the toilets flushing across the country.
And washing machines working and water flowing so you can cook dinner.
Yeah.
So that's really a very interesting distinction there. So plumbers refer business to you. You deal, like you said, from the sink down, which means flow. You deal strictly with clearing. What did you say? Clearing and cleaning drains. That's
Drain.
it. It's
Yep.
very niche. Very niche.
Yep.
Okay. So describe the role of the owner. Is he or she clearing the drains or working in the, so that's working in the business, or are they working on the business?
We love our folks to be working on the business. We've got some of those guys and gals that are owner technicians. The majority of our owners are not on the truck, right? They're working on the business from a high level. And probably the biggest role of that owner is being focused on the referral relationships and the B2B business development. Call it sales, call it relationship building, right? We want our owners going out, running for mayor of Draintown at the end of the day, right? Folks that are going to go form that relationship and get the business flowing in.
Okay, so the role of the owner, you can be in the business. You call that being an owner technician. You're actually doing the work. Yep. Then, as you'd explained to me previously, you can then, so that gets you cash flowing. Flow, get it? This is a Zoom Drain. All right, I love it. Okay, I'm going to be here all day. Okay, so you can be an owner technician to start or to finish if you want. With your business, but ideally y'all are looking for people who are going to go from owner technician to working on the business, hiring technicians to do the work, and then they can grow the business and build and nurture those referral relationships. Is that right?
Absolutely. And I mean, the owner technicians, they're still out forming those relationships, right? Because they're on the job every day. And so they go do that job. And like I said, if you're owner technician, you're cash flow positive day one if you have a job, right? Which is very fun for the owner technicians. But when you talk about the long term, the goal is to have, essentially 5 small business owners per territory, which is 5 trucks going out underneath you. And that's where the business becomes really fun. And again, you're working on the business rather than in it, like you mentioned.
And then another option is you can start from day one on the business and hire a technician. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And then grow and scale as that technician and that truck books up, then you add another technician, another truck, another technician, another truck. And the ideal is to get to 5 trucks per territory.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the growth plan.
All right. So who makes an ideal candidate for Zoom Drain? Do you need to come from the trades or plumbing or construction or anything like that?
The construction trade background is absolutely not necessary for it. I will tell you the majority of our franchisees had zero experience and in anything drains, and frankly, it'd be really hard to find someone with experience that was exclusively in our niche. Like you mentioned, it's very niche down, and so no experience required. It's really around relationship building, right, and finding good owners that want to build good teams at the end of the day.
So leadership, people skills, relationship build, enjoy getting out and about, meeting people, mixing and mingling with folks in your community. That sounds like that's a real key to success with a Zoom Drain franchise. Is that right, Dylan?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I always joke around, right? It's all when you're working on the business, it's all the funnest parts of business ownership that people love, right? I mean, it's the team building and it's the being in your community and having those connections that are going to last a really long time, frankly, in this space.
And of course, building the culture of your organization.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Can you share who makes an ideal candidate? Like maybe you can share some examples of franchisees who've come from a particular background or not a particular background, but have done very well.
Yeah, there's such a big spread of backgrounds across our Zoom Drain franchisees that it would be really hard for me to say, hey, these are the folks that do better as far as a background. I'll tell you, I love a military background for this. Jim Crinity, the founder and CEO, I know, like yourself, is an Air Force veteran, and which thank you for your service, by the way. And he built like the comp structure, the book of standard operating procedures, and all those things in a military style structure. So I think that folks from a military background really do enjoy having that structure. And it's kind of like coming back home, right, to coach those employees up. But I also do love a real estate background for this, because those are folks, like we talked about, they're already kind of running for mayor of town in certain ways, right? And they can associate with the need for it, because if you've been in real estate, you've had to have a drain inspected, you've had to have one cleared out, and you very likely have some property management connections. But realistically, we've got folks from IT backgrounds, all the way through some of the folks that do have a little bit of trade experience in there. And so there's no particular background. To share a couple examples, I mean, Rachel Dugan up in Indianapolis, she is a fantastic franchisee, owns multiple territories and is growing really rapidly. She had zero experience in the drain space. I would also use like Eric Ballerino, who's over in Colorado. Fantastic guy. He has an accounting background, and he's seeing some substantial growth inside his first year. I also think of, Robert in Columbus, who's definitely, I believe, a little bit of a real estate background with previous business ownership, but nothing in the trades. And these are all folks that have grown really quickly, right? Which has been fun to see. And like I said, zero drain cleaning experience at the end of the day, right? Which is the fun part.
Yeah, an accountant. I don't know the woman's background, IT. I mean, it goes to show that this can appeal to a wide variety of people who are looking to create wealth and cash flow and escape from, the corporate world or working for someone else and grow their own business.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, a common question that I get, a frequent question that I get, Dylan, is where do you get employees, and does the franchise help at all with the recruiting, training, and retaining process?
Absolutely. So all of the above as far as assistance from Zoom Drain. Where do you find employees? I will tell you that the hiring pool for this is pretty large, especially if you're looking for apprentices, because in the short term, it's definitely helpful to find someone with a little bit of know-how, a little bit of experience. But Zoom Drain is going to help train up all of those employees, not only throughout the onboarding process, but long-term through not only LMS portals, but also boot camps that they host with our distributors like Spartan Tools. So the folks can go get hands-on with the equipment. We have a great training facility out in Philadelphia. It actually looks really funny because we have all these toilets lined up out in the shop that are all, I promise no one's used them out there, right? But it's all for the training purpose, right? To go get people familiar with the tools, equipment, et cetera. So tons of assistance there. But long term, when you talk about building culture and building up your team, you want to start hiring those apprentices and kind of shaping the clay, molding them through that process. And then retention, I think that a big part of the structure aids in retention as well. I know that the average tenure for an employee out in Philadelphia is close to 4 years. And so,
wow, that's great.
Fantastic, right? You can't ask for better than that, especially in a trade space. And what we do, right? It's not the most fun job in the world when you talk about going and cleaning and clearing drains, but
not glamorous.
Value about it, right? They're getting value out of it. They're getting value out of the system and structure.
Well, the thing that I love about Zoom Drain is an essential service. It is in need and it is in demand 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It doesn't matter what the economy is doing. It doesn't matter who's in the White House, what the interest rate is, or tariffs. Drains get clogged and they need to be cleaned and cleared, period, right? So people always want recession-resistant, essential service, low cost of entry, fat, juicy profit margins. Repeat loyal business from your referral sources. It's hard to find a downside to this one. Employee, large labor pool, you provide the training, hire for the person, and you'll train them up on what they need to know. It just sounds like really a phenomenal, every way you look at it. And this is what I call a dull, normal business. This is not sexy. It was around 50 years ago. Guess what? This business is going to be around in 50 years. Technology is not going to obsolete it. You can't order it over Amazon. It's just really hard to find a better business when you're looking for something to mitigate your risk.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you want a fun, staggering fact, roughly 20 to 60,000 toilets flush every second just in the United States. So,
oh my goodness.
By the time we're done talking, I think that's upwards of 8 million flushes, right? In just this 15 minutes that we've been talking. So it's not going away anytime soon. And there's a lot of wear and tear on those pipes. If I had to add another thing into the business, right? Because we focus really aggressively on cleaning and clearing, right? That is the foot in the door. That's a really big space. And it's a really big piece of the pie, like we talked about, even though it's a niche. Now, you can also get into things like repair and replacement, right? Because there's a big, long pipe that flows out of your house that takes all the junk out and it goes into municipal, it goes to the city, and wherever it flows out from there, that's not our business, right? But that pipe that flows out, there's a ton of other services that you can start doing a little bit further down the road with some additional equipment like relining, right? Pipe jamming, or pipe bursting, and then full excavation and replacement. And that takes it from, a multi-billion-dollar space to $1 trillion space really, really quickly. And the nice part about it is it stays in our niche, right? We're not stepping on any toes of plumbers that want to offer those services. It still is that focus of that main line and cleaning and clearing it out, right? So with a little bit of experience and know-how and training from the team, that's an additional revenue stream we're seeing a lot of our franchisees add on, because it's really simple, right? You're already down there. And once you have a big enough book of business, that also tends to fall into your lap, which is something that's great about it, right? There are so many services that you can start to implement on the B2B side in this, that we've got some really fun, creative franchisees, and it'll be interesting to see how it grows over time.
All right. Well, I'm glad you clarified that. And Dylan, we are out of time. If someone wants to learn more about Zoom Drain, what should they do?
Well, Anna, the first thing that they should do is they should get a hold of you. They should have a conversation about, is franchising right for me? Is this the right time to make that move? Because what you really need is an expert like yourself, right? I know you've been in the industry for a long time, and I think it's difficult to find someone you can rely on like yourself to have that conversation of like, is Zoom Drain a good fit for me? Right? Because working with you is definitely an experience that people need to have under their belt before they start looking at something seriously.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Dylan. And Dylan, thank you for being here. Audience, this is Dylan Zawinski with Zoom Drain. Thank you so much. Learned a lot.
That's awesome. Thank you. And I appreciate it, guys. I'll catch you on the flip side.
Okay. Absolutely. That'd be wonderful. And audience, thank you for watching and listening. Thank you for being here, and be sure to come back next week because we're going to have a home service franchise that you're not going to want to miss hearing about. It is in high demand. They're the number one provider of their service in the nation, not just because number one franchise, number one company, period, in the nation. You're not going to want to miss this. Come back next Wednesday at 11:30. I'm Anna Wiles, the franchise economist. See you then. So long.